On this Monday night, the evolving advice about masks. Rethinking how much protection we really need.
With the more transmissible variants and such high caseload, we need to really think about improving our masks.
What you can do as more cases of highly contagious variants are confirmed in Canada. Getting it in writing.
We're being told, well, just trust us.
Ottawa under pressure to ensure vaccine delivery promises aren't broken. Plus, a military takeover in Myanmar.
This is bad news.
Its leader detained and the future of democracy in peril. And returning the favor, the show of support for Captain Sir Tom Moore, who's been diagnosed with COVID-19.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. More cases of the new highly contagious variants of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Canada. 69 people in Ontario are now known to have the variant first detected in Britain, and the first case of the South African variant has also been confirmed there. In Alberta, there are now 51 known cases of the more contagious variants, and BC has confirmed 18 known cases of variants of concern, including 4 of the South African variant. How widespread they are exactly in Canada at this point is not certain. More genomic testing is being ramped up. What is certain is that they spread much faster from person to person, and many experts say we need to do more to stop that spread, including rethinking the masks we wear. Heather Yourex-West has our top story tonight.
It's become the mandated way of life under COVID-19. We wear masks every time we buy groceries, at work or at school, indoors and even some outdoor spaces. Canada's masking policies have developed over time based on what we've learned about the virus. But as the virus changes, some experts say masking policies need to change again.
With the more transmissible variants and such high caseload, we need to really think about improving our masks. One way you can do that is by double masking.
Wearing 2 masks can help improve both filtration and fit if you do it right. 2 cloth masks, for example, would impair airflow and could force air to escape on the sides.
The best type of double masking is probably to wear a surgical type mask underneath. That provides really good filtration, but maybe it doesn't fit well because it has gaps on the sides.
You want it to sit flat on both sides and fit your chin well as well. And then what you do is you basically just put on your cloth mask the exact same way.
How much additional protection the extra mask provides is really not yet known. But as the new variants circulate, other countries are re-evaluating policies and advice. In France, homemade cloth masks that do not meet minimum standards are no longer enough to meet the country's mask mandate. And in the U.S., Dr. Anthony Fauci is recommending better masks as well.
If you have a physical covering with one layer, you put another layer on, it just makes common sense that it likely would be more effective.
Adding the double mask might incrementally help a little bit. In the grand scheme, though, I think, it's much better to aim for people to have appropriate masks and use them effectively.
The Public Health Agency of Canada currently recommends Canadians wear high-quality masks. Non-medical cloth masks should be 3 layers, including a filter, and cover a person's mouth and nose. A best practice still not practiced by all. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
In Ontario, nearly 300,000 students went back to in-person learning today, and new masking and testing measures are coming into force. Masks are now mandatory for students in grades 1 to 3 in Ontario. That includes outdoors when they can't properly distance. And voluntary asymptomatic testing will soon be expanded to schools across Ontario. The government says both rapid and PCR tests will be used, and up to 50,000 tests could be processed per week. It will be up to local public health units to decide where to deploy those tests. Public health experts warn variants are so much more transmissible and explosive growth in cases is likely in the weeks ahead before vaccines are widely available. And in Ontario, there are already worrying signs. Toronto Public Health says an outbreak at a Toronto meat plant is linked to the UK variant. 78 people at that plant have tested positive for COVID-19, 2 of them for the UK variant.
To mutate, viruses have to replicate. To replicate, viruses need human cells. So our job is not to give it to them. Distance, distance, distance. In any form, you can create it.
To try to better detect the variants, mandatory testing is now in place at Canada's largest airport. All international passengers arriving at Toronto's Pearson Airport must now be screened for COVID-19. Mandatory testing could be in place for all international passengers arriving in Canada as soon as Thursday. Passengers will also have to pay to quarantine in hotels while they wait for their test results. Key to getting ahead of the new variants is getting vaccines into the arms of Canadians. On that front, Canada is still moving slowly. Just over 964,000 doses have been administered across the country. That means about 2.2% of the Canadian population has received at least one dose. Shipments of vaccines have slowed down because of cutbacks in production at Pfizer and Moderna plants in Europe. And as Abigail Bimman explains, the threat of export controls in Europe is still looming.
You only have a verbal assurance is what you're saying today.
I have multiple assurances through myself and through Minister Haiju and from the Prime Minister that vaccine shipments to Canada will not be affected by this mechanism.
The International Trade Minister grilled for not getting a promise in writing that Canada's vaccine shipments won't be affected by the European Union's new export controls.
We're being told, well, just trust us and take our good word that the rug isn't going to be pulled out from beneath you later.
We are on track to do that for all Canadians who wish it for free by September.
We have vaccines en route to Canada and being deployed across this country on Monday and Tuesday of this week.
But this week, just 79,000 doses from Pfizer are coming, and for Moderna, 180,000, 22% less than originally expected.
We are now virtually at a standstill with no vaccines delivered to Saskatchewan in over a week.
Where is Canada's mass vaccination campaign? It's so scattershot right now.
What's happening in Europe adds a new concern. While Mary Ng insists she has verbal assurances Canada's supply won't be impacted by export controls, our country is not on the EU's list of exempted countries. And while the EU discourages individual countries from making unilateral decisions, Belgium has notified the EU of an emergency measure, though it's not entirely clear what the plan is. Canada's Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines are coming from Belgium.
I did speak to my Belgian counterpart yesterday. I did get assurances from the Vice Prime Minister on Canada's shipments and that the mechanism will not affect Canada's vaccine shipments.
Ng says she has a call scheduled with her counterpart in Spain. That's where Canada's Moderna vaccines are coming from. Abigail Bimman, Global News, Ottawa.
In the U.S., January was by far the deadliest month of the pandemic. Now there are some signs of hope. With vaccinations picking up, new infections have fallen for the third straight week, and hospitalizations are down too. As Jackson Prosco reports, the question now is whether America can stay ahead of the highly contagious variants.
These are tenuous days in the fight against the pandemic, mixed with promise and the potential for much more pain.
People are actually becoming a little less vigilant, both because they recognize the vaccines are, here and that they're rolling out, but then also because people are just tired.
95,000 Americans died in the month of January alone, and yet states are loosening restrictions, just as more contagious virus variants from the UK, South Africa, and Brazil creep in. There are now hundreds of cases in more than half of the states. Doctors are deeply worried.
It's a race to get the vaccines out and slow down the spread before this virus figures out a way to outsmart the treatments and the vaccines that we've developed.
Mass vaccination sites continue to dole out doses to the tune of more than 1 million per day. 25 million Americans, that's 10% of the adult population, has now received at least one dose. Doctors are being told they should no longer hold second doses in reserve,
because they now have the predictability that the second dose will be there when the time comes.
But there's a catch. The vaccines may be less effective against those new virus variants. If they take hold, epidemiologists believe a higher percentage of the population will need the shot to bring about herd immunity.
If we were aiming for somewhere around 70% or 75% in the past, now we're aiming for 80, 85%, maybe 90% of the population to be vaccinated.
Until that happens, the virus remains a threat. The U.S. is requiring masks on all forms of mass transportation, planes, trains, and buses. while officials brace for a potential surge of new cases in the next 2 months, fueled by those new variants.
And Jackson, the Biden administration today announced it is ordering tens of millions of dollars worth of rapid test kits that can be used at home. Tell us about that.
Donna, this could be key to helping people isolate when they have symptoms. It's a do-it-yourself, over-the-counter nasal swab kit that goes into a reader and delivers results by your smartphone in about 15 minutes with 95% accuracy. The Biden administration says it's spending about $230 million to acquire these tests from an Australian company. They want to build domestic manufacturing supply here in the U.S. and hope to deliver about 19 million tests per month by the end of this year.
All right, Jackson Prosco in Washington, thanks. England is beginning what's being called surge testing in regions where the South African variant has been found. In the last 6 days, 105 people across England are confirmed to have the South African variant. 11 of them had no links to travel. That community spread is what triggered the surge testing. COVID-19 test kits are being sent out to households in the high-risk areas, and healthcare workers are going door to door to swab about 80,000 people. South Africa has received its first batch of COVID-19 vaccine. 1 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine were sent to Johannesburg from India. The shipment met by the Prime Minister. Frontline healthcare workers are first in line to get the shot. Another 500,000 doses are expected later this month. Clinical trials have shown vaccines made by Novavax and Johnson & Johnson appear to be less affected against the South African variant. In the Netherlands, the health minister has revealed half of all new cases there are the UK variant. Mass testing undertaken in January shows the UK variant was almost 50% more contagious than the original version of the virus. The government there warns new strains could start to trigger another surge in the weeks ahead. Coup d'etat coming up, global condemnation for the military power grab in Myanmar. Plus, the wicked winter storm moving up the East Coast. The hard-fought battle for democracy in Myanmar has taken an ominous turn. In the early hours on Monday, the military announced it has seized power. Troops are patrolling the streets. Democratically elected politicians have been arrested. Eric Sorensen explains why the coup happened now and what it means for Myanmar's future.
An elected politician is taken away, the internet cut off, the military suddenly everywhere on the streets of the capital, and then confirmation on state TV. A state of emergency is set for 1 year, he says. Governance is handed over to the commander-in-chief. Min Aung Hlaing, on the left, was sworn in. The democratically elected leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, is in custody and has not been seen. The international community has called for her immediate release.
It's just outrageous. It's deeply disturbing. There's a lot that we don't know. But what we do know is that democracy has been overturned by the generals.
For 60 years, the military has pulled the strings of power in Myanmar, also known as Burma. Aung San Suu Kyi campaigned for democratic reform and spent almost 15 years under house arrest. When Suu Kyi led her NLD party to a second landslide victory last fall over the military-backed party, military leaders declared fraud.
I think the military realized that this conflict was real and she wasn't going to go away.
It's another defining moment for Aung San Suu Kyi. She won the Nobel Peace Prize as a reformer. But when the military attacked Rohingya Muslims in 2017 amid charges of ethnic cleansing, Suu Kyi's inaction and her defense of the military before the international court splintered her reputation worldwide. In Canada, Suu Kyi had been recognized with rare honorary citizenship, then became the first to have that honor revoked. But Suu Kyi has always been popular in her country. Bob Rae was the Prime Minister's envoy to Myanmar.
You're going to get a strong reaction. She's in power because of a democratic movement, as imperfect as it is. And that democratic movement is not going to suddenly, disappear.
The streets are mostly quiet in Myanmar, people long accustomed to the military running things with brutality. Our country, says this student leader, is just a bird learning to fly. Now the army has broken our wings. And a fledgling democracy overnight has been silenced. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
Ahead, millions hit by a Noreaster, the mess it's causing. A powerful nor'easter is working its way across the U.S. East Coast tonight, the first major snowfall of the year. Nearly a meter of heavy snow is expected in New York by Tuesday, and that would make it one of the biggest winter storms in that city's history. The slow-moving system is packing gusty winds and creating near blizzard conditions. There are widespread school closures and thousands of flights have been canceled, disrupting travel for millions. New York's governor is warning people could be stranded.
Yes, we've been through it before, but this is a dangerous, life-threatening situation.
A snow emergency has been declared in several cities, including Washington, New York, and Boston, as well as the entire state of New Jersey. The same fierce storm front is forecast to hit parts of Atlantic Canada early on Tuesday. Another police incident has sparked an outcry in the U.S. A 9-year-old girl was handcuffed and pepper sprayed by officers in Rochester, New York, who were responding to a report of family trouble. A warning, the video is difficult to watch.
This is your last chance, otherwise pepper spray's going in your eyeballs. Come on, let's go.
Body cam footage shows officers trying to force the girl into the back of a police car. Police warned several times they would use pepper spray, and the girl resisted putting her feet into the car. Then one officer reaches in and sprays her.
Just spray her at this point. Dear. I got her. I got her.
Please, wipe my eye! Wipe my eye, please!
The girl was taken to the hospital and later released. The interim police chief has said it is not okay for a 9-year-old to be pepper sprayed, and an investigation is underway. Less than a year ago, Daniel Prude, a 41-year-old black man, died while Rochester police restrained him with a spit hood. Actor Dustin Diamond, who starred in the sitcom Saved by the Bell, has died.
Wow, a building with 2 buildings, one of whom is balding.
Diamond was widely known for his role as the character Screech in the high school sitcom and its spin-offs. He was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 3 weeks ago. Diamond was just 44 years old. Caring for Captain Tom next, Britain's beacon of hope in the pandemic, now in hospital himself.
Lovely, never change.
He always likes to say he's in the business of making people feel good. And so he never wanted the audience to know if he had a problem.
Tony Bennett's family has revealed a secret they kept for 4 years. The 94-year-old, one of the world's greatest singers, has Alzheimer's disease. He was diagnosed in 2016. His wife says his best therapy is to sing and make people smile. Bennett still recognizes family members, but they say he has increasingly rare moments of clarity and awareness. He is still singing and recorded an album with Lady Gaga after his diagnosis. Best wishes are pouring in for Captain Sir Tom Moore, the 100-year-old veteran who walked laps in his garden to raise money for Britain's National Health Service. Moore has been diagnosed with COVID-19. He's in the hospital, though not in intensive care, but his age makes him very vulnerable. And as Redmond Shannon reports, he's being cared for by the healthcare workers he did so much to support.
100 laps of his yard before his 100th birthday. A simple idea that turned a small COVID-19 fundraiser into almost $60 million for healthcare workers. It also turned Captain Tom Moore into Captain Sir Tom Moore.
This is such a high award that I should get, and from Her Majesty as well. What more can anyone wish for than that?
But the man who did so much to help is now in need of help. Captain Tom's daughter says the Second World War veteran tested positive for the virus last week and was admitted to hospital Sunday. He needs assistance with his breathing, but is not in intensive care. Given his age, Britons are worried. His smiling face was on the front of almost every national newspaper on Monday.
Captain Tom Moore has been an inspiration to everybody in this country during this pandemic, and I think our thoughts and our prayers are now with him and with his family.
It's not known how Moore contracted COVID-19. He hadn't yet received the vaccine due to medication he had been taking for a recent bout of pneumonia. Moore and his family had been on vacation in Barbados in December, a journey that was against government advice but within travel rules at the time. His neighbours showing nothing but support for their local hero.
It's beautiful having him just on our doorstep, but sending our positive thoughts out for the family and him. Make sure he's okay.
He's quite a mature man, being 100, so you just have to hope that he would be okay, you know. But he's done a lot of good for the NHS, raising all that money.
Captain Tom's impact has been more than just money and morale. He has inspired others to push their own limits for some tremendous fundraising feats. His family has praised the remarkable efforts of those looking after Captain Tom. The healthcare workers who took inspiration from Moore's efforts are now giving back in the best way possible. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
The Royal Canadian Mint has unveiled a commemorative coin marking Black History Month.
When injustice fills your heart with pain.
A virtual ceremony was held to reveal the silver $20 coin. It honors a part of Black history in Nova Scotia. The coin features the coat of arms of the Black Loyalists who fought in the American Revolution. Many of them were freed slaves, and they settled in Nova Scotia after the war between 1783 and 1785. They were the largest group of people of African descent to immigrate to Nova Scotia at any one time. And that is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada. Waves crashing ashore in Lower Island Cove, Newfoundland and Labrador. We'd love to see your corner of the country. Please send your photo to viewers@globalnational.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.